Good. How are you?
All right, guys. I'm going to go ahead and get started at 6 o'clock. Ben, how many guys we have on right now?
Currently, there's 71 viewing the stream.
Okay. So how I'd like to start this out is we got the commissioner from the GLVC on the line here. We're going to have him go ahead and speak a little bit about whatever he wants to talk about in the GLVC. And then after he's done, we got John Brower on. We're going to have him talk. If you guys got questions, I believe Ben explained that to them about the questions, how that works.
Sure. So there was a link that was just sent out a little bit ago due to my work computer being kid safe, I think is what I think it is that this stream was set up under a kid safe platform. So the live comments and chat are turned off, or YouTube automatically went to live streaming as kid safe. I don't know which one it is. But with that, if you submit a question to the link, I will answer that and ask it for you. Or I won't answer it. I'll ask the people that are in the meeting that you might have the question for. And if you can't get through that link, you can text me at 708-359-2327, and I will make sure the question gets asked.
Okay, guys, this is being recorded too, or it'll be online. If you want to re-watch it down the road or whatever, you're more than welcome to do that too. So with that being said, Jim, if you're ready, we're ready for you.
Yeah. Hey, Mark, thanks for having me on. Appreciate everybody carving out some time on a Sunday evening for our preseason meeting. I want to thank everybody for your efforts with our baseball umpiring program and the Great Lakes Valley Conference. We appreciate the work you guys do, and looking forward to the upcoming season. We do welcome Lincoln University to the league this year. They'll be our 15th baseball playing school. They have reinstated baseball, so that will be new for us this year with Lincoln. So in addition to that, our baseball tournament will return to Marion, Illinois at Mountain Dew Park. That's been our home the last 2 years, and I've signed a new 5-year agreement. So this is actually, I think this is the 3rd year of our initial 3-year deal, and then we'll enter into another 5-year extension to work with Ralph Santana and his staff down there. And I know I think the guys who have worked our tournament the last couple of years have been happy with the facility. We certainly have, and I know our coaches who don't say a whole lot, even when they're happy, have expressed appreciation for the facility and the staff at Mountain Dew Park. So we're looking forward to that. Umpire game fees this year, $50. So I wanted to share that with you. And I know John is on, and I'm confident he's going. In terms of the way our student athletes and coaches conduct themselves during the course of the season, and language directed at umpires, that they have got to maintain decorum and civility. If they've got a question, that's how it needs to be done professionally. I don't want umpires to be verbally assaulted. That's not the way I want to run our league. That's not the way I want our coaches and our student athletes to represent themselves. So take an early and decisive stand with that. Allow them to communicate, but to do so in a respectful manner, because we've had our fair share. And again, I want to remind all the umpires that work GLVC games, because we do have a conference policy that is oftentimes more stringent than the NCAA rule, that I just want everybody to remember is if you eject a player, a coach, an athletic trainer, a mouthy SID, they are suspended for the next game, whether the NCAA dictates that or not. So I'm not sharing that with you to dissuade you from tossing somebody if they earn it, but I want you to be aware that is a penalty that's unique to the GLVC. Some leagues have it, some don't. We do. So you're ejected in the first inning of a doubleheader. You sit the rest of that game, and then you sit the following game as well. So hopeful that that's somewhat of a reminder and to our guys about, how upset you're going to get, and is it worth sitting not only the game you're going to get tossed, but the following game. So anyhow, I'm real happy that Mark's entering his second year. He had big shoes to fill with John. We lost John to the NCAA, which is a good thing as our national coordinator of baseball umpires. So it's good to have John in that position, overseeing all of Division II baseball. But Mark, I'm happy to entertain any questions anybody has, but that's about my spiel for the evening.
Okay. Ben, is there any questions for Jim?
No, all the questions are for me of how do you get in the meeting. So just so you guys know, the meeting is streamed on YouTube. Due to the number of participants, we have to do it that way because we can't overload the meeting to do that. So we keep it short and sweet and YouTube and have you guys submit questions that way. That way, then I can give them out. But Jim, no one has any questions for you other than how to get into the meeting.
Ben,
Okay.
thanks for your efforts to set this up. I appreciate it.
Hey,
No
I just
problem.
want to thank you, Jim, for being on this meeting, and thank you for all your support. I wanted to tell everybody that behind the scenes, Jim is pushing for us all the time. He is very supportive. He lets me do what I need to do, and hands off with that, and I appreciate that too. Jim, if there's any questions that come up during this meeting, you're more than welcome to stay on, but I'm sure you got some other things you might get to take care of. So if there's any questions that come up for you, I will get those to you, and I'll get that to the group. Other than that, that's all I got for you, Jim.
All right. Thanks, Mark. Have a great season, everybody. John, take care.
You too, Jim. Thank you.
Okay, guys, we're going to move forward with Mr. John Brower. Just so we know, his shoes weren't that big to fill. That was a bunch of BS, but that's okay. Anyway, no, he was a great leader, and he's doing a great job with NCAA. So, Ben, you got anything right yet with the questions, or are you still just working to get guys in?
No, nobody's going to get in. The only people that are in are the people that receive the invite. So the three of us. If you need to watch, if it's going to be on YouTube, and then I'll make sure that I get that link to you and we get it shared out via RefQuest.
Okay. All right. With that being said, John, you got the floor. It's all yours.
Okay. Thanks, Mark. I'll briefly go over the ejections as Jim alluded to earlier. Last year we had 358 ejections. I'm sorry, 358 ejections at the Division II level, and 32% of them were language directed toward umpires, and it wasn't very nice language. To me, that's an alarming number that I hope comes down this year. We had 92 head coaches get ejected. I think 212 players get ejected, 19 pitchers, and one SID or somebody that wasn't in uniform. We had our first ejection of the season yesterday, came out of the Peach Belt Conference, and it was a player telling what he thought of an umpire, and he went. Players get a lot less rope than coaches. Coaches, if you possibly can get a warning in, if a player pops off to you and it's pretty foul, and you don't feel a warning is needed, I'll support that 100%, and I know Mark will as well. Let's try to get warnings in whenever possible. But I hate dwelling on ejections because it's something that I think can be circumvented, not on our end, on the players and coaches' ends and the administrations. I don't think the administrations take a hard enough stance on that. So, if anybody's got questions about that, I'm happy to answer them. But the only other thing I want to talk about is the selection process. I'll go over that briefly for postseason play, since ejection reports and postseason player are my main functions with the NCAA. Every fall, I ask the fall or winter, I ask each coordinator, like Mark, and we've got 18 coordinators in 21 different leagues for what we call a watch list. And these are postseason eligible umpires, meaning they have enough games, their required number of games, which is 8 conference games. And they fill all the requirements out by watching the online clinic, taking and passing the test, watching the gambling video, which a lot of people, well, not a lot, but there are several people on Mark's staff that didn't watch it. And that eliminates you from being eligible for postseason play. You've got to submit to a background check, watch the video, pass the test, watch the online clinic rather, pass the test, and watch the gambling video. And there's really no reason not to watch it. I mean, it's the type of thing you can actually put your computer on, walk away, and go do something else. And when the video's over, it registers taken. But there was a deadline. A lot of people missed the deadline. Anyway, from the watch list that I get from the conference coordinators, the conference coordinators rank them, and usually 1 through 10. And then I try to watch every possible World Series umpire and as many regional and super regional umpires as I possibly can. I just got home this morning. I was in Hot Springs, Arkansas, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday for 6 games, and I watched 5 postseason eligible umpires. And I'm leaving tomorrow for Orlando, Florida. I'll be there for a couple of days, and it just goes from there. So, the only thing, work hard enough to get on that list. You've got the way Mark and the other coordinators do it. They rank the umpires on each respective staff. And, once you get on that list, the door's wide open. The step is a regional, super regional, World Series. It just depends upon how fast you progress. I have to take people from regions. We have 8 regions in Division II baseball. I have to take one person from each region to go to the World Series. If I had my way, I'd take all the guys I take 4 from the Central and 4 from the Midwest. Those were both my regions when I was a coordinator, and I know we've got the best umpires in the country in those 2 regions. Unfortunately, I have to take one from every region. So, and there are some regions that are a lot stronger than others. So that's the process. And
Hey, John,
yeah,
can you talk to guys real quick about if you go to watch a guy on my watch list or a guy that's on Chris Koski's watch list, and you see another umpire that's not on a list that did an outstanding job, how do you handle that?
that happened twice last year. I was in Tampa, Florida at one point last year, and it was Lakeland. I was at Florida Southern University, and I was watching this plate guy. He's a pretty good young umpire. I didn't think he was ready, but his partner in the field really did a great job. So right there in the stands, I called the conference coordinator, and I said, the fellow's name is Josh Miller. I said, Josh, who's this guy in the field at Florida Southern tonight? And he told me who it was. Well, I did some background checks on him as far as, other people that worked with him. I saw that later in the year, he was working with a very good friend of mine. I know some of you guys know Mark Hutchison. So I called Hutch up and I said, Hutch, you're working with a guy later this year. I need a real good eval on him. And he said, what's his name? And I told him. He said, we were roommates in minor leagues together. So it's such a small world. Anyway, just not even from not knowing the fella, he ended up with a regional and a super regional last year. And he wasn't even on anybody's radar. He wasn't on my radar. But I called the conference coordinator and I said, Josh, will he have enough games to be eligible? Yeah, and he'd really like to get into postseason. I said, well, if you amend your watch list, I can't tell somebody to amend their watch list or you know, I said, if you want to change your watch list, I'd like to see if he can get in the mix. And he did a terrific job. And, you know, if he has as good a year this year as he had last year, he'll probably get another regional and possibly super regional. I'm not a next in line or a time served person. I much rather have a competitive atmosphere. You know, just because the person had a regional in 2024 does not guarantee he's going to have a regional in 2025. There's only X amount of spots. And I use an analogy kind of like a coach. If you've got a senior shortstop, he's a pretty good player. And but all of a sudden you've got a new sophomore recruit just came in that's best shortstop on the planet. Well, who's going to play? The best shortstop on the planet is going to play. So I take the same approach. You know, my job with the NCAA is to put the best available umpires on the championship field that I can. And I wouldn't be doing my job if I just had guys line up regardless of their ability because they had time served. So things don't really work that way in life. I know that, you know, your boss, Mark Winters, in the minor leagues for a long time. Pretty darn good umpire. Well, if time served was a deal, he'd probably be in the big leagues. But, you know, there's so many things that go into it. Timing, was there an opening? You know, it's just a myriad of things. So, yeah, if I see somebody that's really that I think is an outstanding umpire and will fit in that region very well, I will definitely make that call to the coordinator and get him moved in if the coordinator wants to.
Hey, John. Well, Ben, any questions for John yet? Okay. John, I got somebody's asking questions. I've got a couple that came up while you were talking.
Happy to answer.
One is there's a few guys in these conferences that are working a handful of D1 weekends and a handful of Division II weekends. They're getting postseason in Division II, but now they got a conflict with do they want to try and go the Division I route, or do they want to keep chasing possibly going to carry into Division II? What's your feelings on that? Obviously, I know you. I'm not speaking for you, but if they choose D1, it's not going to make you upset. If they choose to stay with you, it's not. So if you could just elaborate on that a little bit. And then go ahead. No, well, the other thing I was going to say is I think guys sometimes get worried that maybe they got a super regional last year for you, and now they just go down to a regional. That doesn't mean you're phasing them out. That just means that they didn't have as strong of a year or something like that, correct? I mean, I think guys need to hear that from you, you know.
That's exactly. Let me address that one first. You know, everybody has their own self-evaluation and self-opinion of their ability. I'm going to tell some of you on this probably heard me say this before, but I'm going to say it very briefly. When I was a younger umpire, I was evaluated for the Big 8, soon to be the Big 12, and I knew I could work with those guys. I just knew it because I worked with plenty of them at the Division II and the JUCO level anyway. Well, the fellow doing the evaluating at the time didn't think so. What he thought mattered. What I thought didn't matter. And unfortunately, that's the way of the world. And you know, my evaluation of somebody, and let's say my predecessor's evaluation, and for those of you that don't know, Scott Taylor and I are best of friends. We don't agree on a lot of things, and we fight about a lot of things. We have for the last 10 years, but we're best of friends. But we do things differently. Not saying I'm doing it right and he's doing it wrong or vice versa. We just do. So it's my evaluation, and I'm going to tell everybody right now, it is gut-wrenching. There were times last spring where I didn't know what to do. I had to sleep on it. Come back with a fresh mind the next day, because it's gut wrenching. You know, you've got people that are deserving, but there's only so many spots. So, and as far as Division I, Division II, that's a tough decision that you have to make, because those of you that know me, I promise nothing. And I do that not to be rude or mean or nasty or anything. If I can't keep my promise, then what good am I? So I don't I've never promised anything. As far as, you know, umpiring in the baseball world goes. So, if you want to take the D1 path, that doesn't mean you can't do D2 postseason next year or the year after. It just depends upon your ability, your relationship with your coordinators, both of them. You know, there are some Division I coordinators that without hesitation will let you off of your a conference schedule or a conference weekend to go work a postseason. Some of them aren't so kind about it. Once again, I'm not. Everybody does their own thing, you know. But if you turn down a Division II regional in 2025, that doesn't mean it's not a death sentence. I had 2 possible World Series guys this year that didn't complete all their required responsibilities, you know, watching the gambling video and one other thing. And I told both of them, because they were pretty upset when they found out they weren't eligible. I said, it's not a death sentence. You know, it doesn't help you, but it's not a death sentence. You know, we'll reevaluate, you know, next year, and we'll be in conversation with the coordinator and whatnot. So it's just a tough deal. You know, the money's gotten so good at a lot of the Division I that I don't blame a guy. You know, there's only 8 guys every year that go to Cary, 1 from every region. So that means there's the GLVC is in the Midwest. There's 1 umpire every year that goes from the Midwest. There's 3 leagues: GLVC, the GLIAC, and the GMAC. So I hope that answers your question, Mark.
Yeah, that's great. Ben, you got any questions coming in for John?
There are no questions listed for John.
You know why that is? Because John's so mean.
Yeah.
He'll bite their heads off.
Yeah. I am.
Okay, well, John, if you have anything else you want to talk about, or you can stay on.
No, I don't want. I mean, we could talk all night, but I don't. Guys, go out and have a great year. If you are a Division I crossover guy that's doing Division I, 2, maybe doing 2 and 3, or whatever you're doing some JUCO, whatever you're doing that day, that's the umpire you are. You're not Division I umpire working GLVC weekend. You're a Division II umpire that weekend. Bring the same focus and intensity as you would, but leave that big league attitude at home. Okay? So whatever you're working that weekend, that's the level of umpire you are. Now, you might go from the GLVC one weekend and work a Big 12 weekend the next weekend. Well, that next weekend, you're a Big 12 umpire. So just keep that in mind. And the last thing I'm gonna say, I'm gonna steal something from a very good friend of mine. He told me this probably 15 years ago. Be the guy everybody wants to work with. Okay, that came from Greg Harmon, who hopefully might go to Omaha pretty soon. But anyway, be the guy everybody wants to work with, and you'll all have great series and great midweeks.
All right. Hey, John, thank you for all your information. And I really appreciate you, first of all, being a good friend of mine, and final, if you know what I'm saying there.
Final. All right. Have a great year, guys. And I'm always available. Mark knows how to contact me, and I know a bunch of you do as well. So go out and have a great year. And to coin another buddy of mine, we get to umpire today. So have that attitude, and you'll have a great time in the field. See ya.
Thanks, John. Yep. Okay. Guys, any questions right now? We got any questions, Ben?
No.
Okay. Here's what we're going to do, guys. We're not going to go over any of the rules and stuff like that because we've all beat that horse too many times. So unless somebody's got a question about a rules interpretation or a new mechanic or anything like that, please feel free to chime in with Ben or whatever. Jim from the GLVC sent me a text. This is not going to make a lot of people happy. That's probably why he didn't say it. But clocks, third base umpire will operate the clocks in the GLVC this year. So when you're working a two-man game, base umpire. So when you're working a two-man game or a three-man game, and the guy's working the clock on the pads or the bases or whatever you want to call it, use common sense. I mean, the game umpiring, the pitcher, the plays are more important than the clock. I'm not telling you not to operate the clock, but that comes secondary to everything else. Okay. So, any questions with that, feel free to contact me or go through Ben and we can clarify anything like on that. There will be something coming out, with more of that stuff in an email or on the website, the RefQuest. As of now, we're not checking for foreign substance, and we're not in either league. That's the GRAC or the GLVC. That's not been brought to my attention yet. And I'm not saying that could change week 3 or week 4 or whatever, but no substance check and the double first base and all that and replay. We don't have that that's what I've been told as of now. So if something changes, we'll send that out. Guys, when I first took this over, I didn't think this would be an issue, but it's become an issue, and it's nothing that you guys are doing wrong. It's probably more me because I'm very busy, and there was one day last week, I almost sent out an email about it. I had 62 text messages, phone calls, and emails total, 62 about baseball, which that's fine. I can handle that, but the problem is when I get a text message, it gets pushed down the line so far, I forget about it. I wake up in the middle of the night trying to find it because I know it was something important. So I'm going to ask everybody, you can still text me, you can still call me, but you're going to have to email me also. Okay. So if you want to avoid texting and phone call, if you want to just email me, just email me. That will help me out. I'm sorry if that makes things more difficult on your end, but I just can't do it anymore because I'm getting overwhelmed with text messages and phone calls and voicemails and emails, and technology is great, but it's also overwhelming sometimes. So okay, things that I'm looking for. I know we've talked about this before, but just to go over it again, be a good partner. Like John said, be the guy that everybody wants to work with. Help out. If you're not the crew chief on the GLVC weekend, reach out to the crew chief if he hasn't reached out to you and ask, is there anything I can do to help or whatever. Know your role, but also be willing to do more for the crew if you have to. Same in the GRAC. All this pertains to both conferences. Okay, guys. Worry about the things that you can control. Don't worry about who's working what games and who has that game and I should be working that game and that stuff. Don't worry about that. Just go out and work your games and do a good job and you'll get noticed. Okay. They always said, if you're a good umpire, you'll get noticed. It may not be this year. It may be halfway through next year, but you'll get what you deserve. Okay. With that being said, I don't have enough games for all the umpires that are deserving of games. I've got a lot of good umpires. I'm trying to give guys opportunities. I know I've overlooked guys. Guys are probably disappointed in their schedules. Some guys are happy with their schedules. All I can tell you is it's not personal. Um, Last year, by this time this year, I would have a more of a grasp of my staff, but it's so spread out. I've got a lot of guys that I'm still trying to figure out where I can use them. Me and Chris Koski share some guys out on the west side of my conference. We communicate all the time. I'm trying to give guys opportunities, and so is Chris. Okay, so just stay strong and work hard, and everything will work out. Okay. Um, After the game, obviously, if you have a situation where you have an ejection or you had to issue warnings or anything that you think I might hear from a coach, text me, call me, email me, whatever. Probably on that one, it'd be a good call. If it's just a routine game, one of the guys on the crew, just shoot me a text and say, hey, we were at John A. Logan, beat Wabash 6-2. Everything was good or whatever. Just so I know that I can check that off my list that the game's over and everything like that. All right. Other than that, guys, if there's any questions, Ben, if you have anything you want to that I've overlooked or you think needs to be brought up, please
Just about
chime in.
our video calls will start the let's see, let me pull the calendar here. They'll start the 20th, and then I'll have that invite ready to go to be sent out tomorrow.
Okay.
So they'll start the 20th, and then we'll have that live link up again for guys. If they have video that they want pulled, if something happens, they can share it. I would encourage guys to do it. I mean, I'll probably have enough stuff happen in my games that it won't matter. So, and I'll for sure share it out with them and links that I get from other guys that I know too. So don't be afraid to share your video. That's how we all get better. I appreciate all the guys that have been involved in those from the start. We've had a great start to the year with that. You do have a question about replay protocol that just came through.
Okay.
And it's going to be at Indy from what I know.
So, okay, before we'll entertain the question, obviously, not a problem, but there's still, I need to clarify this, and maybe I know there's some coaches that were saying that if they can't have replay, no one should have replay. Now, last year, Indy had replay, right?
Yes.
So probably it'll happen again. That's something I probably should have maybe asked Jim. I'll corner him on that again, but that's kind of still up in the air. Anyway, go ahead. What's the question?
The question was the replay question.
Oh, that was it. Oh, okay.
Yes.
Well, yeah. We'll send something out. If you're at Indy and they have it, use it. I mean, if something changes, I'll let you know. Here's the deal with replay. Here's my feeling on replay. Even if the whole league had it, and if you have a play or a situation where you're not 100% sure, which hopefully we all are 100% sure, but maybe we're not, if we should go to replay or not, I'd rather you go to replay and then be told later, yeah, you shouldn't have went to replay, than not go to replay and yeah, you should have went to replay. Does that make sense? I know you guys can't answer everybody, but I'd rather you make an error on the side of getting the play perhaps right or using replay than not using it, even if you're not supposed to, if you're not sure. Like a fair foul in front of the base where the guy dives and it's past the base, but it's right at his glove. Can you go and look at that one? Well, it's supposed to be past him, past the fielder too. So how do you know? And you know what I mean? So err on the side of looking at the play than not. Okay. And I'll support you and I'll tell whoever I need to tell that's the way I instruct the umpires to do it. I'm not going to, I think a lot of you guys know me pretty well. I'm never going to throw anybody under the bus. I'm going to, if you do some of the things I've done in my past, I might not be able to protect you as much as I would like to, but I will always die on the sword with you. You know what I'm saying? So, there's nothing we can't get through as a crew or as a coordinator and umpires. Okay. What else? Any other questions, Ben?
There was one about the meetings. I will record. I will set up the meetings to record this year. Yes. So those Thursday night meetings will be recorded. And that's it.
Okay. Well, I'm going to keep it short here, I guess. It's 6:35. Guys, like we always say, keep your calendars up. I know it's hard. I make mistakes with calendars too. I'm a pretty easygoing guy. Obviously, if you get a D1 assignment, or if you're listen, it's okay with me if I got you working a JUCO game and you get an opportunity. I wish Donnie was on the call, but he had another obligation tonight. But if you have something come up with and you could go make more money and work a game for Don King, as long as it's not an hour before the game, I'm pretty good with moving guys around. I'm not. I don't think I've ever got mad at anybody about getting off games. So um, I'll work with all you guys. It's we do it because we love the game and give back to the student athlete. We got to say all the things we're supposed to say, but when it comes right down to it, I think 90% of us, 95% of us do it because it's good extra cash. So I get it. It's about making money and so on. So other than that, guys, I really don't have much else. We'll be sending out more emails as the season goes. Just communicate. I know we say that all the time too. You can't over communicate with your crew, with the schools. Be flexible. If you're not getting treated right, I don't care if it's in the GLVC or the GRAC. If things aren't being done the way they need to be done, and they're not giving you a locker room, or they're not, don't take that on yourself. Please let me know, and I'll address it the best I can. And Jim at the GLVC, he's very supportive of us. He'll get involved if it's something that he feels like isn't right. So I guess that's all I got, guys. Ben, is there anything that I've overlooked or needs to be brought up that you can think of?
No.
Okay. Well, thanks for your time, guys. It's crazy. Season's here already. Work hard, do a good job. I know you guys will, and I got your back. So that's all I got.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Bye.
What's up? At the peak, 100.